Well, each week we like to break down stories from the three levels of government with CTV's political commentator, Scott Reid. He's live here once again in studio on the Scott Reid Memorial Couch. Great to have you here, Scott.
Great. I'm still kicking, okay?
Yeah, exactly. I shouldn't have called it Memorial Couch, just the Scott Reid Couch.
Yeah, the honor.
So, of course, coming up Monday, we're looking ahead to the fall federal economic statement. Interesting to get this so late, first of all, in the fall, but secondly, with kind of the fiscal guardrails kind of seem to be coming off this government.
Yeah, so the fall update is going to give us two things. One, it's going to tell us what the deficit was for last year, and it's going to tell us what the deficit is going to be for the next couple of years. At least it is going to purport to tell us. Mm-hmm. So a whole bunch of interesting dramas around this. Yes, it's as late gets. The fall economic statement barely makes it in technically into fall. We're going to be stuffing stockings by the time this thing is delivered.
Yeah.
But I think what's going to be very interesting is thinking about going forward. It isn't just the fact that they're going to blow past their $40 billion deficit notional guardrail. It's impossible to imagine how take a look at this GST holiday, you're going to be able to maintain the spending on that. Mm-hmm. It's a tension between finance and the Prime Minister's office, something I know a little bit about from back in the day. It's the drama about how are you going to pay for what's happening going forward. And on top of all of that, there are giant question marks about the outlook. Imagine if Trump does indeed honor his commitments, honor his promises, honor his pledges, and slap a 25% tariff, a 20% tariff on all our goods and services. Well, how do you imagine, how do you project for that? So I think we're going to see a bunch of different scenarios. Mm-hmm. So if we get a 10% tariff, then this. If we get a 20% tariff, then that. If we get no tariffs, then something else altogether. It makes budget planning and economic forecasting incredibly difficult. And again, ironically, I think where all that's going to net out is you're going to hear from opposition and economists saying, you know what, this government doesn't have a clear storyline on its finances, and it doesn't have a clear plan for its finances. It's going to be a tough day for the government, I think.
So two-parter then. Is the Trump factor kind of the reason why this is as late as it is in the fall, because they had to wait and see what happened November 5th before they could sort of start crunching and see what he might say? And secondly, I'm curious about this tension between Freeland and Trudeau, because it seems like with the checks and with the GST holiday, she almost wasn't consulted.
Look, there's just buzz and rumors, scuttlebutt. It's on the front page of today's Globe and Mail, talking about this tension between the Prime Minister's office and finance, saying that Freeland bitterly opposed this idea of the GST holiday, these rebate checks. You got finance officials being quoted as saying, you know, this makes no economic sense and it's stupid. It does not strike me at all as implausible that they would not agree on this. But look, when governments are on their last legs, when they're 20 to 25% behind in the polls, when they have been so slow to deal and address with the affordability challenges, you get desperate moves like this. And I don't think it's unfair to call these desperate. And, you know, so you're going to get finance saying, wait, let's not completely go crazy with the dollars and cents. And the Prime Minister saying, you know what, I don't have time for that. We're going to do what we're going to do. Right. In terms of why it was so late, I think first they wanted to wait and see. They wanted the GST holiday to be part of the economic statement, but when the NDP wouldn't allow it to be incorporated and it had to be voted as a separate motion, that blew up their plan, so they had to go back to the chalkboard. And then on top of it, you've got the Trump factor, where you have to start to figure out what might the future hold. Okay,
a lot of people asking those questions. Let's move to the provincial level. And if you believe an Abacus poll that came out recently, only 12% of Ontarians appear to favor stronger law enforcement measures to clear encampments. But it's clear Premier Doug Ford wants those stronger measures.
So on Thursday, we're going to see this legislation coming from Queen's Park. And its intention is to give mayors enhanced powers. And on top of that, enhanced powers to clean out parks. You got a bunch of homeless people in parks. You see folks with needles and drugs and drug paraphernalia. And, you know, the Premier is saying, listen, folks want those people gone. We're going to give mayors special powers, extra law enforcement powers. What exactly that means, we don't 100% know. We're going to see on Thursday. And then on top of that, he said, listen, if these things are challenged by the courts, if we're told, well, you know, you can't just act in this way because you're violating people's charter rights, well, then the Premier has suggested that he might be willing to use the notwithstanding clause to trample on it. I look at it and you just say to yourself, man, oh man, is there any more head-shaking comment on where we're at as a society? You know, instead of addressing housing and homeless issues, instead of dealing with drug and mental health and addiction issues, we just look at the people that are homeless, that have addiction issues, and we say, let's just brush them away like crumbs off the table. And if we have to literally remove their rights to do it, we'll do so. I know that there's a lot of people that say, I don't want to see it in my parks, but what a statement of failure.
It's interesting, yeah. So we'll watch that coming up on Thursday. In the meantime, Mayor Olivia Chow getting a bit of a pat on the back for supporting the arts and also appearing in a play on stage coming up.
So this is, the petty Christmas tradition is being redone
Pantomime,
this year.
yeah.
The panto, yeah. So they're redoing the panto. She's going to be the Wizard of Oz. Supposedly, she's already taped her part, so she'll appear in that. And this is a long tradition, right? The local politicians. Remember Rob Ford all dressed up in green booties because he was in the Nutcracker.
Yeah.
So Mayor's having a little bit of fun with this.
Yeah.
I like to see this kind of thing, you get a little funner side of your politicians and enjoying the holiday spirit.
All right, good to hear. Scott, appreciate this. We'll see you back here next Tuesday for our kind of year-end look back at things.
That's right. We're going to take the backward look. It's an ugly rear view mirror. Don't look back, Nick.
There's a few things there. Yeah. Okay, Scott, thanks for this. Appreciate this.